guys, Marsingan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to do the team building guide for the Rose and TEQ VEGITO Blue EZA that comes out tomorrow, or later this evening, I guess, depending on your time zone. 6:30 AM in the morning for me, so I think it's like 10:30 PM PST, something like that. So this one is going to be another one of those typical 30-stage EZAs, but you are fighting against two opponents because you get to EZA both of these units from the same event. So in typical 30-stage EZA fashion, once we get up to a certain point, which is stage 16 and onwards, which is where we go over to fighting VEGITO Blue, we fight Rose for the first set of stages, and then we switch to VEGITO Blue, and we have AGL, Super and Extreme STR units will be doing 80% less damage. So obviously when we go through my top picks and honorable mentions for this team build, we won't really be covering any AGL units or Extreme STR. Obviously you can use AGL and Extreme STR units, especially if they are good defensively, but just be aware of the fact that they won't be doing a lot of damage. And obviously because it is for two units at the same time, you get 6 of the type guys. So you get enough to get them up to SA 15 and you'll have 1 spare. You do get 40 stones in total as opposed to 30, because the last 10 stages do give 2 instead of 1. So pretty cool, you get 10 extra stones. There are also the missions, so if you do all of these you will actually be getting 43 stones. Actually no, sorry, 46, because these missions are for both characters. So 46 stones in total for doing the full EZA. So the special category is Future Saga. So I've mentioned it already, but as always with my team building guides, we'll be going through my top picks and honourable mentions. If there's any units that you think I missed out or I should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comments. And if you are new and you find the guide helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So let's go ahead and start off. Obviously, the way these EZAs kind of always work is the new hotness, the new summonable unit is going to be one of the better leaders. Obviously, they have a Future Saga lead, as well as Bond of Parent and Child, and then Battle of Fate, an extra 30%. There's not a lot of units that will go over for this guide that are in their 200% full lead, but obviously that's not really important, right? They lead Future Saga for 170 and 3 key. They have type advantage over VEGITO Blue, which is who you're going to fight from the last few stages onwards anyway. So obviously int units in that later stage are going to be more useful. Because you don't get the damage reduction to AGL units, you could use AGL units for the first 15 stages against Rose. So I guess we can cover some of those afterwards, but none of those are included in this list going forward. So these guys obviously going to be very, very good. Very easy to run a Bond of Parent and Child unit with them that's in Future Saga, so they can get their entrance animation, and essentially they're just going to sit in slot 1. They're going to obviously be very, very effective in this event, so don't really need to say a huge amount about them. Obviously, if you didn't pull them, we have the TEQ androids, who have Future Saga as a leader skill for 3 key and 170. They don't have a ton of great link partners, but they do create their own orbs, so obviously that could be somewhat beneficial. And they do have their active skill. However, whilst it can be super useful in a lot of EZAs, remember that you can only use it when facing 1 enemy or when facing 3 or more enemies. So, well, actually, no, you only fight 1 at a time, don't you? For some reason, yeah, I was getting confused. You don't fight them both at the same time. So, actually, that does make them even more useful, because the first time they're on the rotation, you can just use their active skill, Ghost Usher away the turn, and then if they even survive that first turn, chances are you're going to be finishing them off in the next turn anyway. So even if you bring these guys on the team just for the sake of using their active skill, then obviously they are going to be somewhat useful. So pretty decent to have on the team despite not linking super well. And then we have the Future Gohan. So with his EZA, he has Future Saga 3 key and 170 as a lead as well. So as you can see, there are a lot of Future Saga leaders that you can use. This guy gets his full benefit when there's a Trunks on rotation, so that obviously includes the LR Vegeta and Trunks. There's also some other good Trunks units that we will talk about in this guide as well. So this guy, definitely a solid option. Even if you're not going to use him as a leader, I would say he's probably a top pick for the team. Especially like the first 15 stages, he's going to have type disadvantage fighting against Rose. But the first 15 stages of an EZA are not normally particularly difficult anyway, right? So he's not going to struggle a huge amount, especially because he has damage reduction. Even on turn 1, he still has 30%. So in those earlier phases, you really aren't going to have to worry about him at all. So top pick for the team, even if he's not the leader. Then we have the LR Rose Goku Black. He has a Future Saga lead of 4 key and 130 to stats. He's kind of just here as a last resort lead, just to throw him into the mix, right, that you could use him. I wouldn't necessarily recommend running him on the team. I mean, he doesn't have prepared for battle, which is very unfortunate. So running him on this team with a bunch of other super class like Saiyan units, he'll have Kamehameha with some of them maybe. Super Saiyan, Dismal Future, Fierce Battle, and then that's kind of it for the links that you're going to get active with him on this team, unless you actively bring other Rose or Zamasu units, which none of them are really super good for this event, right? So this guy, I would use him as a last resort for the leader, but honestly, I probably wouldn't use him on the team personally. Next up, we have the TEQ VEGITO from the 5th anniversary. Obviously, while this guy has aged a little bit in terms of difficult content, for EZAs, obviously he's going to be very, very good. If you put him in slot 3, he has a 50% chance to dodge. So he's the kind of unit that you can just throw on the team as a floater, and he will put in some work whilst not being a huge liability, because the difficulty level of EZAs is not super high. Obviously, he doesn't transform into Vegito Blue until turn 4, but it's fairly unlikely that you're going to get to turn 4 unless you are grinding past stage 30 to get Zeni medals, or sorry, Zeni statues. So shouldn't be seeing Vegito Blue come out too often, but he definitely can be useful on the team as a floating unit. So he's on Battle of Fate as well, so he does get the 200% leader skill from Trunks and Vegeta, because obviously he's on Future Saga and Battle of Fate, so he definitely can be useful. Next up, we have the STR LR Vegito Blue. Obviously recently got his EZA that makes him much, much better. In short burst events like EZAs, you can just go for his 18 key super, so you can do some big damage, get the chance to launch an additional, get that stack on his defense, and then of course that helps to trigger his hidden potential as well. So this guy, definitely very, very good. You don't have to worry about deliberately trying to get his 12 key to stack defense, because EZAs, as we've already said, not super difficult. You don't get a ton of turns to stack anyway, so you just want him, just go straight for his 18 key super, and then he's going to be looking pretty good. Obviously, he's on Battle of Fate as well, so he'll be getting the 200% leader skill from Trunks and Vegeta, so a solid option for the team. And especially because he's free to play, definitely a good option for the team. Next up, we have Trunks and Mai. Now, they don't have their EZA on Global yet, so we've got to go by the un-EZA'd version. We do have a Future Saga enemy, which is one of the only reasons why I would include them in the recommended, because they are going to have slightly low stats unless you have a lot of time travelers on the team, which there's a lot of crossover between Future Saga and time travelers, so it's not too difficult. But if they were missing their 50% chance to dodge, I probably wouldn't recommend bringing them. But since we are fighting Future Saga enemies, they can be quite useful. Because of that crossover, I guess you could use them as a leader as well if you absolutely had to. But I would say they deserve an honourable mention, more so that of being a top pick. Obviously, if they had their EZA already, then they would be a much better pick for the team. But obviously, we do not have that yet on Global. I mean, when these all came out on JP, this EZA for Rose and Vegito Blue came out like a week before this EZA anyway, right? So they're not really designed to be super useful for this one, but definitely an honourable mention for the team. Next up, we have this TEQ Trunks, who has his EZA. He's pretty solid overall. He was the unit that I would like to pair up with Future Gohan before we got the Trunks and Vegeta. So obviously he can function very well on the team. Links up very well with that Future Gohan as well. So he can be a very solid unit. Nothing too crazy, just another solid unit on the team. Decent stats, decent damage. When it comes to an Extreme Z battle, he's like that's perfectly within his remit of content, right? Not being too difficult, so he should be perfectly fine. Then we have this STR Super Trunks. The Super Trunks are fairly decent, right? This one gets his full buff for 10 turns. I think he's the one out of the two that is the best, like from turn 1, so it's better for these short form events. He raises defense on super. Like, he's nothing too crazy again as well, but just another honourable mention that can quite easily go on the team and just be in the 3rd slot floating. Will do decent damage, has reasonable defense after super, so not the worst choice in the world. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of hybrid Saiyans already, be they Trunkses or like future Gohan, for example. So this Trunks can be very, very good. After he gets his super attack off, he does have decent defense, as well as the chance of launching an additional. So he can triple super if you get the best RNG. And after that, his defense will actually be looking really good. And of course, he is a hybrid Saiyan support for 3 key and 40% attack and defense. So whilst he's not going to be supporting Vegeta and Trunks, depending on how you build the team, he can basically be supporting everybody else on the team. So he definitely can be a useful asset in this event as well. And then last but not least, we have Physical Vegito Blue. So because the Vegito Blues are all on Battle of Fate, then obviously he's getting the 200% leader skill. He could be a very solid unit again. You could either use him on main rotation, or you could just use him as a floating unit. He's going to get those supers off, raise his defense, and then fire off a bunch of counters. I would say if you're just put him on the team, and then every time he's on rotation, just put him in whichever slot has the most attacks. If it's the earlier stages, he'll be okay in slot 1, even if he takes a super. He will take damage, but again, Extreme Z Battle is not the most difficult content. But once he's gotten those supers off, those counters will be able to do some decent damage. Remember, of course, though, you can't use same name units in an Extreme Z battle, so you can't use this guy and the LR, like the free-to-play STR LR Vegito Blue at the same time. I would probably say, I guess it depends, right? Like, if this guy's gonna be getting a load of counters in one turn, then you could argue that he is better for the event than the LR. But obviously you can't always like guarantee that, right? So the LR might actually just be the better option out of the two, right? He's got legendary power, which is an extra link that he's going to share with Vegeta and Trunks. He can do a lot of damage if you farmed up the equips and everything for him as well. Then obviously he's going to be better than this guy. But if you haven't done all of that stuff yet, maybe you haven't even EZA'd Vegito Blue, this guy definitely is a worthwhile substitute. So going back to the category itself, like I say, we didn't really talk about AGL units because they lose their effectiveness after stage 15. But for those first 15 stages, obviously if you did summon for Vegeta and Trunks and you got this Goku Black, he's a support unit for the team for 40%, as well as having type advantage over the Rose, so he can be pretty decent. The LR Future Gohan and Trunks can be pretty solid as well. Honestly, though, I guess you could put them especially on the team for those first 15 stages, and they probably would make that first part much, much quicker. And then you just take them off once you get to stage 15 onwards. Because same with this, like AGL Trunks, the AGL Trunks and AGL Mai for the support. All of these guys actually could be quite useful for those first 15 stages. You just want to take them off of the team as soon as you get to the actual TEQ Vegito Blue part. So there you go. Those are the top picks and honourable mentions for the STR Rose TEQ Vegito Blue Extreme Z battle. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like I said, if there's any units I missed out that you think I should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comments, and let me know what your team is going to look like for this Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.